For my project, I'm going to use this old glitter container. It has a sticker, but the sticker is on there pretty good, so I'm not going to take it off. I'll just paint over it. The goal with priming your container or your bottle is to just do a thin coat all over so that it dries quickly without any drips. When you go to get the paint from the container, dip your brush into the paint, not farther up than where the bristles go, so don't go onto the middle. And then you want to just wipe the brush on the sides so that you don't have any big drips. Now you should be able to carry your brush over to your project without dripping on anything. You want to make sure your table is covered too, and then start brushing and covering your surface, going back and forth. Have your brush go back and forth, not against the bristles, never push the brush, and cover your whole container. You probably will get some primer on your fingers and you'll need to wash them off when you're done. While you're painting, try to hold on to one part of your container and move it around as much as possible so you're not grabbing the wet parts. When you're done, you're going to set it on a shelf that Miss Sewell has on top of the plastic bag. The great thing about primer is that it dries very quick, and you just want to put it on nice and smooth so that next class you'll be able to add colors and do designs. I'm doing white just because I want to think about my colors still, and white is a nice way to start. It's kind of a blank canvas effect. And make sure you cover all the surfaces. Once you paint with the primer, you're not going to be able to unscrew the bottle caps or change the bottle or your container, so kind of consider it like glue before you start. Okay? It doesn't have to be perfect, just try not to do any drips, and then you're going to be done with that and let that dry till next class. While that is drying, you can plan out your alebrije and decide what things you will paint on the body and what things you will add as appendages, arms, ears, legs, teeth, horns. Here's some examples. Keep in mind that the real alebrijes from Mexico are worth hundreds of dollars because it takes many, many hours to complete them. Yours will just be a simpler version. While you're waiting for your container to dry, you're going to get pieces of scrap foam that you can use to make arms and legs and horns and teeth and ears and whatever else. I don't have that much of this, so you're going to have to get creative with small amounts. I started making legs, and I've decorated both sides with different alebrije patterns. And then these are going to be little wings, like this. And remember that your creature does not have to be a real creature. It should be kind of a fantasy or fantastical animal. So it doesn't really need to make sense. Just pick things that are fun. You can draw different body parts on these pieces of foam and then cut them out. The permanent markers work best when you draw on the foam because then they don't smear. So I'm actually switching bottles. I'll show you guys my new bottle in a second. But I made this little head because my bottle doesn't really have a good head area. So I'll cut this out and show you what I'm going to do. When you are adding patterns to your alebrijes body parts, look at some of the worksheets that I passed out to show some examples. A lot of the patterns are just small and they repeat themselves. You can use markers of different colors if that works too. When you're done with day one things, you're going to want to put them somewhere so that they don't get lost. I'm going to give Miss Sewell some baggies, and you want to put those body parts that you made in the baggie for the next day. Don't put the extra pieces of foam like this one in there. Other kids can use these, and like I said, we don't have that much, so you want to just put in there what you put together. All right, now for day two. For day two, you're going to be painting the body of your alebrije, as well as adding patterns on your arms and legs. Your first step is to paint the body of your alebrije. Think about where you would put the arms and legs on this guy, where the head would go, and then start drawing areas of the body that you'll paint one color or another color. For example, I actually am switching my alebrije to this smaller bottle, and I gave it kind of a shell look, where it's going to have a shell on top and a shell on the bottom, and then I think that the legs are going to come out of the sides kind of like this. So now is when you want to think about sections of the body that you can make different colors. If you want to do all one color on the base, on the container, that's fine too, but think about it before you make a decision. The artist is creating different shapes on this alebrije body. Sun on the legs and kind of a shell design on the back. This guy has stripes on his back and a painted stripe down the nose. When you're doing your base colors on your container, there's no wrong way to do it. When you go to paint, remember the trick before. You dip your brush in and then you wipe it on both sides so that it doesn't drip. And then go in and paint. I did some designs, basically like some stripes and a little scallop designs on here. I'm just going to go in now and paint them, and it doesn't really matter if I don't go exactly on the lines where I want, because later I'll take a marker and kind of clean it up. When you want to go use a different color, put the brush back in the container from the color where it belongs and move to another table with another color that you want. Okay, I think I'm going to leave this part white because I'm going to draw the decorations on top of that. And I have a simple body painting here that's ready to dry. I'm going to go put that on the yellow rack, and I'm going to start working on more of my patterning. If you have time after painting your container, you can work more on some of your appendages for your alebrije. You can put the designs on them on both sides, or cut some more and then put them in their Ziploc bags for day 3. Remember, if you see any paintbrushes with paint on them that are just left out, they're going to dry and be ruined. Make sure that they are left either in the paint bucket or in the water bucket so that we can wash them at the end of the day and use them tomorrow. Day 3 should be dry decorating. No more paints involved. If you're using paint, then you can't put marker on top of it, and we decorate with marker. So the idea is you have your dry container that's been painted with base colors, and you have your appendages that have been decorated. And here's what you do. One of the easiest designs to do are these polka dots that you see here on this guy, or the little feather lines that are on this peacock. This yellowish paint is not shiny, so a regular marker should work on it, and I can do the designs in a pattern around the body. With these markers, try not to touch them right away while they're still drying. You can also try using a permanent marker on your paint. This paint, this red stuff, is a little bit more shiny, so I use permanent marker to draw that flower design on the red spot. With these designs, the artists in Oaxaca spend hours and hours decorating the alebrije. You may not have enough time to do this, but as much time as you are given is as much time you can use creating patterns. When you go to use the hot glue gun, make sure that you're using the hot glue gun station and doing it on top of a piece of paper. Don't touch this tip, it's very hot, and the glue is hot when it comes out. You can either just squeeze the tip like this and put hot glue onto your items like this, or else you can pick it up and squeeze it on there. When you squeeze it on there, you don't need to use much. These are not very heavy pieces at all, so just a little bit will get it to stick. When you go to put it on your container, just push it there and it'll dry very quickly. And be careful if any hot glue is peeking through, because that could get hot and burn you. Anyone who has had art should know that you put the glue stick in here once you see that it's run out, or if no more comes out the end. Here's my little alebrije so far. I'll do some more decorating here, and I want to find another strip of purple and add it in underneath here around his neck. I'm not a huge fan of how he looks from the back, so I'm going to try to create some hair or something and continue to draw designs. Make sure that your name is somewhere, and you want to make a plan for how your alebrije is going to sit, whether it will be upright like this, or laying down like this, or you could even try having it stand. This guy fails. Okay, have fun with this, you guys. Be careful and make sure you respect the supplies and misuo. Oh wait, I'm back. I found the perfect thing. Check it out. I cut off the butterfly, and I'm going to give this guy a little mustache.